Hey friends, welcome to the Chaotic Creative. I'm your host Rachel D, and I'm super grateful you clicked today. So, in today's episode, we'll be continuing to our personal planet series. I spoke over the sun and the moon in my last video, and I should have just smashed them together, but here we are. So, today I'll be going over how Mercury, Venus, and Mars affects us on a day to day basis. Without further ado, here's Personal Planets Part 2. I got my notes. Our personal planets are the bodies that orbit the closest to Earth, therefore the closest to our physical body. Symbolically, the personal planets refer to the energies that we relate to on a personal level. Your current placements of the planets have a direct effect on how you communicate, your need for love and affection, and how you handle anger and aggression, how you speak, how you shine, and your emotions, and how you exude confidence as well, how you love too. So these planets change zodiac signs more frequent, meaning that they have a larger impact on our own personalities in our day-to-day lives. It takes these planets anywhere from 29 days to 2.5 years. And in my last video, yeah, sun and moon, I actually wrote that twice. Look at me. So Mercury in the natal chart represents our health, the way we think, how we negotiate, process information, our siblings, smaller size technology, writing, speech, and short trips. And although Mercury is our smallest planet, make no mistake on how big of an influence that it plays in our everyday life, like dreaded retrogrades and whatever. So it takes about 88 days for Mercury to travel the whole zodiac sign. So it travels three, yeah, about it spends about 3 weeks in each sign. So roughly it travels 3 times a year. And with it traveling so frequently, it goes into retrograde the most out of all the planets, as you see. Like, didn't we just came out of a retrograde like what 3 weeks ago? Yeah, we were retrograde in Virgo. Now we're in Libra. It's direct in Libra. So known as the god of communication, he is also known as Eshu in Yoruba tradition as the Orisha that acts as the line of communication between mortals in the Orisha and the physical and the spiritual realm. And hold on. And the Abiji twins that represent duality, yin and yang, siblings, and in Greek mythology as Hermes, not the Birkin, not the Birkin girls, but it's influenced from there. That ruled over fertility, commerce, and was the most clever of the gods. And Eshu served as a clever god as well. Both were known to be tricksters. They are both represented as Virgo and Gemini. Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini's third house and Virgo's sixth house. In some cases, Mercury rules our childhood education and anything under 10th grade. This planet is exalted in the sign of Virgo, which is its own sign, and is debilitated or weakened in the sign of Pisces, where, in Virgo it's supercharged, and Pisces it's going to take on the more emotional part because Pisces is a water sign and Mercury is, to be real, air and earth. Mercury is known as a positive planet, but with all planets, it can become malefic, or it can become malefic if it comes into the wrong square aspects, which I'll get into one day. I'm actually still learning about aspects. So when Mercury is doing Virgo things, it's more of the great analyzer. It pertains to more health, fertility, earth, harvesting information, and sisters, being the overseer of things, being focused, efficient, constructive criticism, sense of perfectionism, appointments, and day jobs. And when it's manifested by Gemini, it can represent the brother or large families, twins, of course, socializing with friends and, just general public, how talkative we can be, our nervous energy, social media, day-to-day travel, local travel, lingual arts, yeah, chatty patties. Not all the time, but I feel like, because in my Vedic, I'm a Gemini rising, and it more so activates when I'm around people that I know. I can be talkative. I can be very much chatty patty at times, but it's not just coming out with anybody. So yeah, lingual arts are conscious and unconscious mind, and in some cases, personality disorders. I had to warm my tea back up. Okay, so now on to Venus. Venus in the natal chart represents our style of romance, the things we find beauty in, what we like to spend our money on, how we spend it, material comforts, emotional and physical security, and harmony and justice. And Venus wasn't just all about all the cutesy, tootsie, and mushy things. Venus was also a goddess of love, of beauty, and not just love and beauty. She was known as a god of love and beauty, but she didn't mind going to war about the things that she loved and the people that she loved. According to Roman mythology, it's actually said that she was born of the war between her father Uranus and her brother Kronos in the Mediterranean. Look, that was some wild-ish, man. Real wild. So, Venus rules our second house in Taurus, where its focus points are how we make money, the types of gifts that we buy ourselves, personal aesthetic, how we show love to ourselves, and banking matters, and the voice, what makes us attractive, our indulgences, and food as well. So, and that's Taurus. So within Libra, it more so pertains to partnerships, contracts, politics, and legal matters, the type of people that you may attract, as well as the potential enemies, peace and war, outer entertainment, and this is all in the seventh house. Oh, excuse me. In Yoruba tradition, Taurus is represented by the goddess Aisha Oshun of freshwater, prosperity, love, and beauty, and Libra as the Arisha Oba, and she was over marriage, transformation, and learning through others. If you have not read up on their stories, you should. They're so beautiful. It's sad to be. They all tie into beauty at the end. Both of their stories are so Venus-like. So Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, where it's all-encompassing emotion and has the highest respect for Venusian qualities. And it's in fall in Virgo, where it puts the previous in the backseat, and it would rather intellectualize its emotions and could be hindered by its own critiques. And strangely enough, that's where she is now. Yeah, I think Venus is in Libra real quick. So Venus takes about 225 days to travel the zodiac, and it spends around 5 weeks in each sign, and it goes into retrograde for 40 days and 40 nights. And contrary to popular belief, Venus is the hottest planet in the sun. It's not Mercury. And that's because of the thick atmosphere that is able to entrap heat on Venus, and it has a surface temperature of 864 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a spicy mama. So depending on where she's located, and I say she because She is the only planet that's really recognized as feminine. So, depending on where she's located, you could be a spendthrift with the gift of vocal talent, but only shares their talent with selective friends. Or you could be a conqueror in love, not relenting until you've got your Professor Ogilvy, and that's on Nikki Park. That made me look. I feel like Nikki Parker definitely gave Venus an Aries type energy. And you know, she would go to war about anybody that stood in between her and her man. That was her man. And while giving out justified hints, maybe you like the finer things. Maybe you're a museum person. If you're ever stargazing, Venus will be the most visible planet that you will see in the sky. It is the brightest by the naked eye. Okay, so lastly, we have Mars. Mars in our natal chart represents sex, passion, aggression, determination, strength, weapons, surgery, accidents, courage, military, the government. What makes us tick? What's our determination style, and what's our motivation or how we're motivated? Mars rules the first house in Aries, and it is the traditional ruler of Scorpio in the eighth house. It is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, and it is in its it's in its detriment in the sign of Cancer. Known as the god of war, Mars has a reputation that precedes itself. Its fiery red color is associated with bloodshed, war, and destruction in Roman mythology. In Yoruba tradition, Mars is represented by not Oshun, Ogun, forgive me. It's represented by Ogun, the Orisha of iron and steel, and he's widely known as a warrior. And he's the patron to like soldiers, police officers, surgeons, and anyone that works with iron and steel. And he was a fit god too. So that's where Ogun is more seen as Aries when it comes to zodiac, and just mixing them up together. It's all pretty interesting to me. So Mars can show what turns you on, as well as your lovemaking style. Maybe your Mars is in Leo and you like to put on a show, and or in Scorpio, where you go and you go and you go. You know what? I ain't never had nothing like that. From what I hear, this is just word in the astrology streets that Mars in Scorpio is a beast. I ain't never had nothing like that. So this is the planet that tells us how we defend ourselves. A strong Mars almost is always ready for anything, like this dude. It's giving Mars and Aries, or it can show how you try to force yourself, and not even necessarily, what it can. Mars can indicate great in certain charts, but in general, how you force your opinions upon others, like these guys. These two men have Mars and Taurus, or this guy who has Mars trine Saturn, and Saturn is their MC or their midheaven, what they're most known for. These placements are favorable for dictators or fearsome leaders, which all of them are tied to, again, something that Mars rules, which is the government. And lastly, but surely not least, Mars can show you some of the most efficient ways to exercise, work out your body. And the best way to utilize that energy for your fitness needs, and again, which is Aries ruled. Maybe you're a person with Mars and Virgo, and you're best at keeping a precise schedule of when you work out, or you love a really good hike, associated with an earth sign. Or maybe it's in Pisces, where Pisces are fish. Maybe you enjoy a good swim workout, or you like to dance or yoga, perhaps. And I've actually experimented with my Mars sign, and my mother reminded me, I have a Mars in Pisces. My mother reminded me that when I was younger, I kept fit when I danced, and I didn't have to bring it back, y'all. Oh, did you know that there is a connection between Mars and toddlers? So Mars takes 2 to 2.5 years to travel the zodiac wheel. 2.5, 2 to 2.5 years. So when it comes back around and your toddler gets to acting a little erratic, we hear about the common phase called the terrible twos, when in actuality, this is just your toddler having their Mars return. And depending on what's aspecting and not, that's what's going to make it terrible or terrific. That absolutely blew my mind. So that concludes my video on our personal planets. I hope I learned you something today. And as always, like, subscribe, share, comment, commune with your girl. I love you, God loves you, and I hope you love you too. Be sure to follow me on all my platforms, and I'll see you in the next video.